Getting my private pilot's license cost me...
holding Alpha 1 ready for departure.
It took a whole year, I failed exams, I nearly threw up in multiple lessons, and since passing almost 3 years ago, I've only flown around 40 hours.
Hold position, after departure, right-hand turn, leave via Godstone, not above altitude 1,400 feet, got in from Tango.
So, was it worth it? I've been lacking serious motivation for creating videos, which is why I've not posted since, I think, before Christmas. I absolutely love making videos, and I do want to get back into the swing of making them, but it's been a bit full on recently. I've not been flying for a few months now, which of course has contributed to the lack of content, but I do have some archive footage from flights that I've not posted, so I do want to make these into videos probably over the next few months.
Winky!
Stop it, I'm going to start again!
We can see it on the front anyway.
Yeah, just about.
Winky!
Hush. I want to address in this video the question that I've asked myself over the years as to whether getting a PPL is worth it. Today's video is a bit of a throwback to my PPL days, and I thought I'd talk about some of the highlights. This, I hope, will help you also come to the decision of whether it's worth getting one yourself. As always, pop me a comment with any questions, and I'd love to hear if you've got a license or where you trained. So 3 years ago, I decided to do something that I'd always dreamed of doing, and that was getting my private pilot's license. Obviously, this comes with many challenges, and for me, the main ones were being in one place for a long enough period of time to get the license, and then mainly the money. By trade, I'm an actor and a musician, which of course comes with a lot of ups and downs when it comes to income and where you get to be based. I've been lucky enough to tour to some incredible places since I graduated drama school back in 2017, and I've gotten to work with some of the most incredible people you could ever imagine. Occasionally, you'll get a little bit of a break, and this happened to me back in 2022 when I was cast in the West End production of Cabaret. Now, this was an absolute dream show for me, and this specific production, if any of you have seen it, I'm sure you'll agree, is insanely special. I joined with the first cast change, and then I made the Kit Kat Club my home for the next year and a half. With that stability, income and location wise, I was able to get started on my PPL, which is something that I'd always said I'd do if I ever got the chance. I did make a video pretty much at the start of my channel about what it took to get the license in terms of the course structure and also a cost breakdown, so I'll leave a link to that video, and whilst I'll cover some of that briefly here, make sure you stick around to the end where I reveal the exact cost of the whole PPL course. In this video, I'm going to focus more on the highlights of my training and tell you a bit about what happened after I got my license. The first highlight for me was my very first lesson. I might do a video at some point on choosing the right instructor for you, but to be honest, I don't know if I'd be the best person to talk about it, as I stuck with my instructor right from day one until I got my license. Anyway, lesson 1, which I think for me was a bit of a unique experience because I wasn't using a plane that was part of the flying school's fleet. A family member of mine very, very generously let me use his Cessna 150, which is honestly, I think, one of my all-time favorite aircraft now, which meant that not only did it have amazing availability because it was just me flying it essentially, but of course, aircraft hire is extortionately expensive anywhere in the UK, but especially just south of London. So to be able to fly at a reduced rate really helped me keep up a really consistent volume of lessons. Trust me, I am well aware how fortunate a position this is to be in, and yeah, I'm not taking it for granted at all. That first lesson is obviously a really brilliant test for you to know if the PPL course is something that you want to continue. Maybe you've had a discovery flight already and you're still not too sure. So the first lesson, you can really nail down if you want to do it or not. I remember feeling vividly pretty nauseous on my first discovery flight and my first few lessons, to be honest. It wasn't quite enough to scare me off, and I managed this by simply just having sick bags on me, knowing that if I needed to be sick, I could be. I do always carry sick bags around with me, and they come in pretty handy.
Are you sick bags?
Oh my God, bro.
Oh, hell no, man. What the f***, man? Get your ass on.
I will post a video on that flight at some point soon. Anyway, that first lesson, it's always best to go in being as prepared as you can be. Go in knowing the basics and have an idea of what you'll be covering in that first lesson. You will have a briefing before that lesson with your instructor, of course, but reading around the subject is pretty essential if you want to get your PPL in a good amount of time. So I reckon it's best to get used to this habit early on. If you've got any questions or if you yourself have advice about people taking their first lesson, do let me know in the comments. But moving on to my second highlight. My first solo. Now, this is of course a major highlight for not just my PPL course, but literally my entire life. Oh my God, I don't know if you can hear it, but the rain has like, it's like biblical proportions. My God, that is absolutely horrific. Anyway, yes, first solo, obviously a really cool experience. It's the moment that your instructor leaves the cockpit and you have to go up and do a circuit completely on your own. I wasn't recording my training at this point in time, so unfortunately I don't have any footage from the actual cockpit, although my instructor sort of managed to get the landing. Kind of. I was 17 hours into my training and I think it was on the 8th of December, so a very chilly day. And what made it all the more, I suppose, exciting, we'll go with exciting, was that it was on Redhill's concrete runway, which is normally a taxiway. It's very small, very narrow, and yeah, if you know it, then you'll know that it's really good fun and it's great to practice on, but yeah, it's not as nice as the well, maybe not as forgiving as the grass runways. My next highlight is a bit of a weird one, and that was failing my meteorology exam. And yes, whilst I was of course gutted on the day, it did prompt me to go down the route of using easypplgroundschool.com. Now, these guys are absolutely incredible. If you've not heard of them before, then essentially what they do is they take the PPL syllabus and display it in a really, really concise and easy format. They structure it in a way that at the end of every topic you have exams based on that exact topic, and then at the end of the whole course for that individual subject you have these amazing exams which are word for word what you're going to get in the actual exam. If anyone at easypplgroundschool.com wants to sponsor this video, then pop me an email. I'm just joking. Unless... The next highlight for me would be my first solo local flight, and this is for a few reasons. Firstly, because there were a few little issues with my Cessna 150. Aww. I had to switch at about, I think, maybe 20 hours, 25 hours into a Katana DV20, which is part of the flight school's fleet. And this meant getting used to a fairly different looking cockpit, especially for someone who hasn't got a PPL and is learning. It did look quite unfamiliar with the stick instead of a yoke and the throttle instead of a, push kind of vibe. But I was able to get this done pretty swiftly, and then yeah, I was let loose in the local area. I've got a whole video on that which is linked on the screen somewhere, so do check it out if you're interested. Similar to the first solo, it's just an amazing sense of freedom and yeah, responsibility, I guess. Without sounding too wanky, there is this incredible bond that you build up with your instructor, and so when they trust you enough to let you go loose, it's yeah, it's really special. As I've mentioned quite a few times in this video already, if you've got any questions, then do let me know in the comments, but I'm not a flight instructor, so don't take any of my advice as actual lessons or anything like that. It's purely for entertainment. The next highlight for me was my qualifying cross country. Now, I've done a video on this in the past, so I'm going to let Past Ruben explain this. Essentially, as part of getting your private pilot's license, you have to fly at least 270 kilometers or 150 nautical miles solo. That includes 2 full-stop landings at 2 different aerodromes that are different from your departure aerodrome. My qualifying cross-country route looked like this. Take off from my home airfield, Redhill, fly to Leon Solent, which is next to Portsmouth. That was stop number 1. Have a cup of tea and a biscuit, and then start my second leg from Leon Solent to Lydd. This was so cool. I got to take in the beautiful south coast and really enjoy the cruise. Lydd is stop number 2, and after that, time for the last leg back to Redhill. Amazing, thank you, Past Ruben. An absolutely mega day, which really, really boosts your confidence. Of course, making sure that confidence doesn't slip into cockiness, but yeah, what a mega day. If you want to see more of that qualifying cross country, then there is a link on the screen to, I think, some of the parts, or maybe the full video. Can't remember. Probably the full video. I could mention a few more highlights, such as passing the FRITL, the flight radio telephony, not telepathy, telephony operator's license, flight radio telephony operator's FRITL. Or of course the actual day that I passed my skills test. But I don't want to make this video too long, and as I said before, there is a video on my channel which is essentially this video. I've just sort of remade it which is a bit lazy actually. I'll talk really quickly about what happened after I passed my PPL. Now, I feel like it's a bit similar to your driving test. When you first pass, it's just really good to get up and at it straight away and don't leave it too long, which of course I tried to do. One of the things that I think pretty much every PPL student looks forward to is taking their first passenger. And this, actually, just adding on to another highlight, this was a huge highlight for me. So there's a video on my channel about my first flight with a passenger. Do check it out if you've got the time. But yeah, I was able to get out and about pretty much as soon as my license came through. However, it will come as no surprise that flying is blooming expensive. And I will reveal now that the total cost for getting my private pilot's license, including equipment, aircraft hire, all the exams, more equipment, Sky Demon subscription, everything in total was £12,490 and 21 pennies. And of course, maintaining this hobby, which that is what it is. It's a hobby. I'm not training to be a professional pilot or anything like that, especially when in the acting industry, you don't always stay in a show for that long. Cabaret for me was a year and a half, and those kind of really nicely paid shows, they don't come around that often. Since getting my license, I've only flown about 90 hours or so, which seems a bit bizarre that I've made a YouTube channel based on being a private pilot and I've not actually been a private pilot that much. But I hope that that won't scare anyone away, and yeah, subscribe if you haven't already and all that kind of good stuff. But I am going to try and start posting a few more videos, especially once I get up again. And maybe I've just got to lean into a bit more of the flight simulator side of things. I don't know. Let me know in the comments what you think I should do. Please tell me what I need to do. Anyway, when I do get up, it will probably be in my Cessna 182. There's a video on my channel of that, so check that one out. To come back to the original question, is it worth it? Despite the fact I've not made as much use of the license as I would have liked to so far, I never regret getting my PPL. It's a once-in-a-lifetime experience which I will always recommend. And if you've enjoyed my content thus far, then please do pop this video a like, share it with anyone that you think might be a bit interested, pop me a comment, just all that kind of good stuff. Also, I'm around on TikTok and Instagram, so yeah, pop me a follow there as well.